He said, if you don't let me do that, not only is it not okay, but we're off. We're not going to have a relationship. So how do you know if you met somebody who's not really who they say that they are? How do you know when you meet them in dating? It's hard. I'm going to tell you guys up front, it's hard. That's why most of us urge you guys, take your time with getting to know someone. Take your time. Time is the enemy for them. They do everything they can to build fast rapport. They use, actually, it's been documented, they use cult leaders programming, cult-like programming. They do excessive eye gazing. They will do, they'll have a certain phrase or a certain thing that they do as a way to build hypnotic suggestions to remind you of good times or warm feelings. They'll say the same thing over hypnotically. I'll tell you what mine did. This is what mine does. And he did it with everybody when I got to look into his phone backups, which he gave me access to, which isn't that fascinating. But what he would do is he would take the best photos of him and you or him and me or other people, whoever he was with, whoever he's trying to build a sense of connection and rapport with. He would take these selfies, and then whenever things are a little rough, he'd send the selfie out over and over, repetitively, lots of times. And then he would say things like, remember this, wasn't that a good time? And the reason they're doing that is that causes a surge of memory with all the associated feelings of that memory. And then his connection around it makes you feel this warm and fuzziness with him in that moment. It's very hypnotic. So your partner, whether it's a woman or a man, is going to do something kind of unique to them, but they'll have something that they will build in that they'll do repetitively as a way to recall and to remind you in order for you to sort of ignore the tension of the moment. They tend to be controlling. So watch for signs of controlling. It might be excessive talking, like they really kind of hold the conversational floor. They might do a lot of bragging. They might be that they always have the solution. They might insist on showing you some kind of courtesy and call it chivalry or, taking care of you. They'll have something, but it's really a way for them to sort of manage the relationship and take charge of it. They'll also ask you to do the emotional heavy lifting of the relationship. Like they'll tell you something really sad or tragic about their life. And then when they do that, they're doing it as a way to create a sense of you feeling bad for them so that you feel like you need to sort of take care of that, make that better, be better. You want to make up for the loss, the lack in their life. Mine told me on his first date that he was a victim of sexual abuse. What man do you know? I mean, there's nothing wrong with men confiding in women. I don't have a problem with that, but I was a stranger. He only knew me 2 weeks of limited texting. This was literally our first meeting, and you will find that's too soon, too much too soon. So it's not that the information was a problem. It was the context was the problem. You'll also find that they will tell you what other people did wrong as a way to tell you what they expect from you. So they'll use their past relationships as a way to give instruction, whether you realize it or not. Like they'll say it's always the partner's ex's problems. The reason the relationship failed is because the ex was crazy or difficult or whatever. But they also then will tell you how. Like he said, this one wasn't truthful. This one put her friends above me. This one gained too much weight. And what you're hearing is, don't get fat. Don't have other outside relationships. And by the way, I better be upfront about everything because that's going to be threatening to this person. So they do this as a way to sort of manipulate us into limit ourselves, into being smaller so that we're more pleasing and more under their control. So watch for those things. Here's another big tip, 2 big tip-offs that I want to warn you about that were sheer signs of failure for me that I ignored. One was he limited my ability to see him in his life. I didn't get to meet friends. We didn't go out as a group. I didn't get to meet family for a real long time. Never got to meet all of his children. He really kept, everything we did was just us only. What happens, I didn't meet really coworkers or his supervisors. It limits my ability to know what this person's like in other settings with other people. You want to see them in multiple settings, in different type of relationships, so you know what they're like in under different circumstances, under different kinds of stress. So if you don't get to see that, then you're really seeing a very limited slice of this person. It's not actually a very fair representation of what they're like everywhere. So see them in different settings. That gives you a lot of good information. Boundaries. The second way to watch whether or not you met somebody who's dangerous is set a boundary and then watch what they do with the boundary. So let me tell you a very vulnerable boundary I set and what happened around it. So when we're getting ready for the second date, I told him that I wear wigs because I have a considerable, significant hair loss. I hadn't told him up to that. To me, it's not something you lead with a first date. That's something you wait till you get to know somebody. Now I've come out and it's in my book and I write about it and I'm pretty open. I even wear different wigs, so it's not anything I'm hiding at this point. But at the time, I wasn't really sharing that openly. I was still trying to get used to the fact that I was a woman with a significant hair loss. He replied that if I didn't let him see me without a wig that first date, then we were a no-go. So he not only rejected my boundary, but he upped the ante by making our relationships contingent on me going a step further with him than I was even prepared to do. I just said I would be wearing a nightcap at night. I didn't plan to let him see me without a wig. And he said, if you don't let me do that, not only is it not okay, but we're off. We're not going to have a relationship. So watch for that. Watch for these sort of pushing, this disregard of your boundaries. What I would do with them, I would set a simple one early on and talk about that. Like, for example, maybe your boundary is don't call me before 10 a.m. or wait until after the work hour or don't call after 9 or whatever it is. Set an easy one. Set a one that's not big deal to you. And then watch what this person does with it. Do they handle it? Do they respect you when you set that boundary? Or do they put their little teeny toe over it and see what you will do? By the way, that's what they're going to do. They'll just slightly, like if you say don't call after 9, they'll call you at 9:05 and then see what you do with it and see if you let it go. And if you let it go, then they know they can push the next boundary and then the next boundary. Yeah, somebody just said they wouldn't let you post on social media. See, there's a boundary he's setting with, or she's setting with you, or they are setting with you. What I would do is to say, no, I'm not comfortable with that. I have relationships that I maintain on social media, so I intend to continue to post. I'm not for sure how you'll handle that, but this is an important part of who I am and what makes me up. So, but watch, it's going to be not a big breach. It's going to be a teeny breach that's going to you make you feel like it's a no big deal. So it's easy for you to overlook and let go. But let me tell you, if you let it go, they now know that they can compromise you, and they'll compromise you on a bigger thing and make it harder. So yeah, watch for that. Don't let them. Those are the things that when they ask you to change and shift. See, some of you are giving me really great examples, like not letting you wear makeup, not letting you post on social media. Those are things that they're basically saying it's your job to keep this person happy. And the way that keep this person happy is that you have to make the changes. You have to adjust. No, by the way, do you think they would adjust for you? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. In fact, they would tell you straight up, if you want this relationship, you have to take me as I am. This is who I am. Yeah, this is another one. Somebody said they did a spooning position that felt suffocating. Mine did too. Mine would crowd me into an intense hug and keep me in a bear hug all night long. And as a postmenopausal woman, let me tell you, that is not, I was drenched. I sweat drenched every night. I hated it. I don't want to be that tight and close to somebody every day, all night long, and wiping sweat off my body. I mean, come on. So yeah, see, all of you are giving me great examples of how they ask you to become less than, smaller, take up less space, be less impactful, if you can't be fully yourself, then you are not safely in a relationship. But test them with a boundary. They won't accept a boundary. They will push it in one small little teeny way and then see what you do. So you need to be prepared to say, I know it's 9:05 and I can't take calls after 9, and this is what they'll do. But it's 9:05. It's just 5 minutes. You can't take 5 minutes on the phone call, 5 minutes past the time you say, really? It's not a big deal. Why are you making such a big deal? And there's your moment. Now you're faced with a choice. You either will hold or not. And one reason that we don't hold is that we know that if we hold, the relationship probably is over. It probably is a deal breaker. But you know what? If a person really respected you and cared about you and cared about your feelings, they would say, oh, I'm sorry, you're right. Let's hold it till tomorrow. I'll call you tomorrow. Anybody who doesn't do that is not worth your time. They are not worth your time. They are asking you to be who they want. They're making you into an object. They're not respecting you, and they're not seeing you as fully you, fully human. So for us, learning to show up, learning to take our space like this helps us protect ourselves better and make sure that we're in relationships that are deserving of our time and energy, that make us more, not less. We want to be more, not less.